Welcome to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. So, who had the great time watching the Super Bowl halftime show and the Grammys? Not this guy. We'll talk about it next. All right, on, dude. Yeah, rapping time. All right, got the click going and everything. I can actually start. Never mind. You do it to me every time.
I had to stop the metronome as soon as you suggested that you might start rapping.
Well, you have to. You hear someone drops a beat, and it's time to start freestyling, yo.
Oh my god, man! I don't even know what to do with that.
Just move along. You know what I mean? Much like De'Aaron Fox with the Sacramento Kings, we just move along. When he left, we just move along.
Yeah, we do move along because De'Aaron Fox was a little bitch the last year and a half.
Thank you, De'Aaron, for all the good years, man. I will stand.
What do you mean the good years? We went to the playoffs once. There were eight.
Out of 8. You can't play in as playoffs.
Okay, thanks for the one good year, De'Aaron.
Well, no, he was rad though, dude. It's not like he wasn't.
No,
awesome.
he did. I think he's okay. I think Sacramento Kings fans have a bad habit of, and I'm not the first person. This is not an original novel idea. Are you going DeMarcus Cousins on this one? You thought we were going to do? No, what about DeMarcus Cousins?
I mean, are you going to claim that De'Aaron Fox is DeMarcus Cousins? I mean, it's not the same.
No, I'm not saying that either. Yeah, I'm just saying De'Aaron Fox isn't a champion. He's not a. He takes games off and he sulks when he doesn't get his way. He's a little bitch.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I agree with that.
You heard it here first.
But I will say this: I'm very happy for the compensation we got in return from him. We have a lot of good players now.
Zach LaVine's been on fire. Once so the Kings make it to the All-Star break, and then they can actually have some practices.
Yeah.
Right.
They've been pretty damn good, though, man. I got to tell you, considering the guys haven't had to practice together yet, that's pretty amazing.
I think they're, like 2-2? Well, you got to give Jonas Valanciunas credit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like they, have all this time to kind of get their chemistry going. They're just saying. Trying to figure things out. But give them some time, absolutely.
Yeah, they make it to the All-Star break.
They're number 9 in the West right now, so it's not like, I mean, we're right
Domantas Sabonis just got snubbed for the All-Star game.
Which is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Right. So Anthony Davis got injured, right?
Which, shocking.
Yeah, who cares?
News report.
I mean, you know what? He's not a Laker anymore, so maybe now the healing can begin. But
but he's been injured like most of his career. I mean, not like Joel Embiid injured, because that guy's been injured like for more than he's played, but like he's been injured for most of his career. So.
Gravity is just a real bitch,
especially when you're like 7'2" and weigh like 300 pounds or whatever. It's just your bodies are not made to handle that kind of tension.
Correct.
That's just not how people are built to be. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But anyway, long story short, that has nothing to do with today's Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast. Thank you guys. Welcome to listening to this amazing podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when culture leaves you behind, and we're going to specifically look at 2 examples that just recently happened that make at least make me. I'm not going to speak for you, Ryan, but make me very sad.
No, this will be okay. Well, and then so before we get started, much as I despise the Lakers,
okay, you got more Lakers to talk. Okay,
well, and they just got Luka Doncic, which it was handed to them by the NBA.
Well, look at Doncic though, dude. I mean, he's not a guy gonna like win a championship.
You might if he gets his conditioning together.
I mean, when has he ever done that though? I mean,
well, you never know. Anyway,
he's never ever shown that he's got a propensity to do that.
So until the Doncic trade, I was just like I was walking around just like there's been some tragedies down in Los Angeles or the Southern California area recently, right?
Yep. Sadly, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, first there was the Palisades fire, right?
Eaton fire. There's 2 or 3 other large fires too down there. I mean, not only that, but then like some mudslides. I guess a couple weeks ago, when the rains happened, and so
fires, mudslides, death, destruction, right?
Yep. SAG got your back, people down in SoCal, our brothers. So.
Well, and then like if so, all of that all happened, right? Which like as if that weren't bad enough.
Okay.
Then they're hit with a Nirvana reunion.
Oh, who cares?
What the fuck? I mean, can you imagine all of those like concert goers that were like, yeah, I'll buy a concert ticket so that money will go to charity to hell, and they show up and then like they're like, fuck you, here's some Nirvana.
Yeah. Well,
and then all those people had to hear Nirvana
One thing
songs,
that we don't get though is that there are a great number of people in the world who actually would be excited about Nirvana. It's kind of something that's antithetical to your or I's existence.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that are excited about heroin, but it doesn't work out well for them. But it isn't good for you. It doesn't work out well
for
them.
6 months you stay alive afterwards. I mean, I guess it's fine.
Right.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that there are people. I have many students who walk in the door and I ask them, why are you here? Well, I got really into Nirvana. It happens to me like once a week.
Yeah, but it's our job to help show them, let's
look beyond, let's learn this, but then we'll go learn beyond this too. And we'll kind of, you'll see. And eventually they it's like you kind of don't, don't tell them, you just show them.
It's so satisfying when like that same kid eventually discovers a good band,
like the Scorpions. Like, oh my God, have you heard of this band?
Or like Dream Theater. You know, one of my students finally discovered Dream Theater, and I was like, oh, good job.
Exactly. Now
I'm happy for you.
Now we're probably gonna make it.
Right.
It's like
But
you know what's funny when I'm always trying to put myself. It's hard because when I was that age, we had awesome bands everywhere. Every band was awesome back in those days. So but if you've not ever listened to rock music and there's some band that gets you excited about rock, especially in the climate today.
God, are you being charitable to Nirvana today, Scott? Are you okay?
I will take anybody who's not listening to Drake or Kendrick Lamar or like a DJ. Or
I'd rather listen to Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, I wouldn't. Not at all. I would.
Nirvana?
I will say I would listen to Nirvana over Kendrick Lamar.
I would not. I would rather just listen to something completely divorced from guitar music than to listen to
bad guitar music.
Right.
Yeah, I get you. I respect that perspective. I just hate no music at all, no musicianship in any kind so much that I will take any musicianship, even bad musicianship, over no musicianship.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm coming from. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I don't know Kendrick Lamar's catalog, but you know, in the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef that keeps interrupting my sports talk radio.
Yeah, because everyone's into rap is in the sports talk. That's for some reason it's weird. Like you're listening, they'll do a thing like, "Well, name your favorite rapper." I'm like, MC Hammer. Run DMC. You know, it's like
Chuck
when I was like 12.
Public
you know what I
Enemy.
mean? Exactly. Yeah. I don't listen to rap.
You know what? My favorite rapper, Ice-T. There you go. I've listened to more Body Count. At least he does metal well.
I will say that I just listened to NWA a little bit when I was like a teenage, when I was a young teenager, like 13, because it was like that dangerous kind of like boogie in the butt thing. You know what I mean? It was like a dangerous thing, like the NWA. You know, and back then, actually, I have to say that it was actually clever lyrics and it was like rhythmically interesting and stuff, and it wasn't just lame like it is now. You know what I mean?
Socially conscious.
Yeah, it was.
It felt dangerous because they were,
and it was also something that was completely foreign to my experience too.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what they were really rapping about or anything like that. You know.
So I'd rather listen to any. But I mean, imagine.
But that's when I was like 12, and then I was like just because my friend had an NWA tape, and I was like, okay, whatever, let's listen to it, and then back to where I was, back to Vinnie Moore, back to Joe Satriani.
So I'm
Extreme, Van Halen, that was
Yeah, so I'm convinced that the Luka Doncic trade is just.
Is it trolling? Is it just trolling you, Ryan? Is that all it is?
No, I think it's just compensation for all the horrors that the people of Southern California have gone through. House burns down. I lose everything. Maybe my pets are missing. Mudslides, though? I mean, smoke in the air, and then just the shitty cherry on the shitty cake on top.
Well, I tell you Nirvana this, though, the one upside is that the Lakers have got, when LeBron retires in the next year or two, they've got the next guy right there. So it's got to build around Luka. I wouldn't expect
that's horrible.
They start elbowing LeBron out the door in the next year. I'm sure they will. You know what I mean?
All we can hope for is Luka Doncic catastrophic injury.
No, I think all we can hope for is they decide that, no, we're going to build around Bronny James.
That'd be awesome.
That's who we're going to build around.
Just like LeBron's going to stay on the roster. He's going to become like a Bill Russell player coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He'll just stay on the team well.
We're going to make sure that the whole thing is focused on Bronny.
Okay, that would be I want to live in that reality.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
So I don't know. I don't think that the Lakers are winning anything with Luka or without Luka. I think that it's going to be going through. I mean, I think the Kings are making some noise this year. I really do think we're going to get into the playoffs. I think we'll win a series. I don't think we're going to win 2 series, but we'll win a series.
That would be great, man. I think the Kings just need a point guard.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Zach and see how that goes. But I think
Well, yeah, he's like a wing.
OKC I know he's a wing, but there's not a legit point guard on the team.
Right.
Malik's a point guard, I guess, but
if Devin Carter could develop faster, but you can't.
He's good though, man. Devin Carter's good.
Yeah, he needs a couple more years in the oven, but yeah.
OKC and Denver are probably the ones coming out of the West, if I had to guess. And then if you look at the East, it's going to be either the Knicks or the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's going to be so we're looking at probably like a OKC Cleveland, just horrible NBA finals. Whoopie. All right. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But so let's move on to one of the lesser sports.
Okay. Let's talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. Now, besides the deliciousness,
salty.
Deliciousness of watching the Chiefs get absolutely humiliated on national television, on international television, that was so delicious. Because it's almost like I want them to lose and then start the game over so they can lose again.
Okay. So since I don't pay attention to football at all, why do we hate the Chiefs?
The Chiefs should die like pigs in hell.
Okay, but why? Are they an entitled franchise like the Lakers? Lakers?
No,
or the
because
Yankees?
they've beaten the 49ers in the last 2 Super Bowls they played.
Ah.
So, and the 49ers are the only team that matters. And the Niners had them in both Super Bowls. The Niners had 10-point leads in both freaking Super Bowls and had them. And then, whatever reason, just choked it away in the last couple minutes of the game. And then watching those bastards have to sit there and like win again. Die! Hate them. Okay, Taylor Swift, you can't fix it. Just screw you guys.
Yeah, it sucks that Taylor Swift got booed.
That does suck. But, whatever. Who cares at the end of the day? She's like, oh, sorry, I'm just the most popular human on earth.
Right, yeah. My net worth eclipses everyone in the stadium.
Thank you. Like, beer guzzling douchebag,
right.
Guy, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, the halftime show is, we got to do something about the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we do.
Because this year was Kendrick Lamar just rapping, and with another rapper came in at some point, and then they were dancing and like different stages where people were dancing, and it's like I just don't get what we're doing anymore. Like, I don't understand. Like, is this awesome? Am I looking at this? I'm wondering, are people saying this is awesome? I really love this. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. My for just
I remember when the Rolling Stones. I remember Michael Jackson played when I was a kid, and he was freaking awesome, dude. Yeah, exactly. Even Bruno Mars was good.
Yeah, because Bruno Mars he's
a real musician.
He's good at music. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, but it's either a pop princess like Katy Perry with like 15 costume changes in a 10-minute performance, which I don't get, or it's a rapper. I don't understand what's happening anymore.
At least Nuno Betancourt made it on stage. What, last year?
I can't remember.
Or the year before.
I know he was there, and then also
it was the Rihanna.
There was like the year before. I think it was Lenny Kravitz was there too. Like, not plugged in, just a guitar not even plugged in, standing on the side of the stage for some reason.
Dude, Mama Said is such a good album.
But it's not even that. But they just why he wasn't even playing or singing. Why is he on stage?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't think Lenny Kravitz has released anything that wasn't auto-tuned all to hell.
No, I get it, but why when it's not even his performances, are they shoehorning Lenny Kravitz in there? I don't get that. And same with Nuno. Like, why is Nuno there? He's not even playing. He's not plugged in.
Nuno got paid for that.
I'm sure he did.
Great,
I think the reason why is because both those guys are super cool looking dudes. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, they're almost like Dolce and Gabbana, like models.
Gabbana.
Yeah. Fuck, who cares?
It's not Copacabana.
Copacabana. I don't care.
That's okay.
But it's like that's I think what it's for. Is those guys are like the super cool looking dudes. That's why they're there.
And Nuno is Rihanna's guitar player. I mean, he plays on the albums, he tours,
but he didn't. He wasn't playing on those songs. You know what I mean? He's
correct.
Just standing there with a guitar. So it's I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
See, it would have been.
I remember long enough ago that when like the Stones and the Who would play and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was like 10, 15 years ago. But
why can't Richie Kotzen just pay? I'm not Richie Kotzen. Why can't Kendrick Lamar just pay Richie Kotzen to stand on stage with him?
I want more than that. I don't want the guy just standing there for like, okay, well, who's that? Why is he standing there?
Well, we have to start from scratch.
Well, he looks cool. It's like, well, no, let's have a band that actually plays music.
Yeah, no, that would be cool if you know. Yeah,
rather than whatever that is.
Product.
But I'm wondering, like, okay, I know they're trying to market to like the youngins, like the people who are like, like under 20. That's who they're trying to like lean into, or maybe like the 20 somethings, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I gotta imagine, considering the amount of people that watch the Super Bowl, that there has to be like probably more people in like the 40, 50, 60 range watching that than there are the 20s and teens range watching that. You know what I mean? Because that's
I don't know.
I mean, I would just think that you'd like to have representation for all of it. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of cool if they had like 2 or 3 different acts playing at halftime, like make it like a half-hour thing, and have each band do like one song or something. You know, that might be kind of cool. And that way, it's like at least everybody gets a little bit of representation rather than just like a 15-minute, weird like, why are we dancing on like 6 different stages with cars and stuff? What's happening?
I mean, if it were like a bunch of Jaguars lined up with like a Tawny Kitaen look-alike rolling across the Jaguars.
Still of the night too, that'd be freaking rad.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, fuck, that would never fly today, and you know that.
No, it would be too cool.
Objectification. It'd be like,
what?
Yeah,
no, there's total objectification in the NFL. There's cheerleaders and shit.
No, I get it, but like that's something that people look at as a regressive thing from the 80s that they don't want to bring back.
I mean, football isn't the main demographic for football like the Ford F-150 crowd?
I don't know. I think it's pretty much everybody. It's too popular for it to just be those guys. I think there's not enough F-150 dudes.
I think the booze in the stadium tell us it's the F-150 crowd.
Well, I think that's also like the middle-aged like business people. You got to keep in mind a ticket, even a cheap ticket to the Super Bowl, is like $5,800 per ticket. You know what I mean? Like the basic getting in the door thing, like up on the rafters, is like $5,800. So it's not like we're talking like your average middle class person's there. You know what I mean? This is like a wealthy, like business owner type person. You know what I mean? Who hates Taylor Swift and her do-goodery or whatever it is.
Something about the whole affair. I can't put my finger on it, but just something about the whole affair of the Super Bowl is just gross to me.
Is it the game? Is it the actual football?
You know, I mean, I don't particularly like or dislike football. I'm indifferent. I mean,
see, I'm opposite. I'm a bigger football fan than I'm anything else.
I mean, I would never watch a football game on TV by myself, but if I'm hanging out with a friend watching it, like I can tell what's happening. I mean, I understand what football.
That's a pretty low bar.
Right? Is.
I think it's a football. I think he threw the ball. And he got caught the ball. Exactly. Oh my God, I see what's happening here.
Oh, that looks like a compound fracture. Wow. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather watch hockey.
I mean, I got to tell you, I grew up a massive football fan. I played tackle football for like 5 years when I was in middle school and high school. So I was way into it for a long time, until I realized I wasn't going to be taller than 5'9", and I wasn't very fast. Once those two things dawned on me, like I'm probably not going to get a nice scholarship for football. I'm way too small and way too slow. It's like, maybe I should focus on this guitar thing. You know what I mean? That kind of dawned on me when I was like,
well,
12.
that worked out best.
Yeah, it did. But it was one of those. But you know what I mean? Like I was way into sports and playing sports and watching sports when I was younger. Baseball too. I was really into baseball. I probably could have followed up on baseball, but I just found guitar and I just let everything go when it came to that point.
Smart move.
Yeah, but
that was like me in comic books. Like I was way into comic books when I was a kid, cool. 9 years old, 10 years old. And then I discovered guitar and like comics just
out the window.
I'm so glad I did that, man.
But I still really like watching sports. I'm a huge, I mean, really for me, the hierarchy goes football, basketball, baseball. That's kind of that's where I'm at. And those are the only sports I follow. I don't follow hockey. I don't follow soccer. I don't follow any of that stuff. I mean, I do have a slight sort of like love for tennis. Strangely enough, I actually really like watching tennis on when it's like the U.S. Open or something like that. I'll watch it. It's actually entertaining. It's an entertaining watch.
Nice.
But
yeah, my sports hierarchy goes basketball, boxing.
Oh yeah.
The end.
Well, give baseball and football a shot, man. Come on.
No, I can look. I can watch. Like again, if we went to a live baseball game, that's fun. I'm never gonna watch it on TV. Now, if we all got together like for beers to watch the last game of the World Series. Okay, I get that because the stakes are super high, but just watching like a regular season baseball game.
Well, you got to be following your team. You got to be into your team.
The only thing more boring. So Rich has been trying to. Like I know he doesn't understand what he's up against. But he's been trying to get me into golf.
Oh yeah. We talked about this.
Fuck. I had to explain finally the other day. Like you've got to understand. When I was like a little kid, I'd be watching. This is back in the days where you had like, maybe like less than 10 channels broadcast.
Yeah. And no cable, right?
Right. My family never got cable television.
Yeah, mine neither. I didn't have cable till I was an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, when satellite came out, like when I was in high school, my dad got Dish Network or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cable. I mean, that's
Yeah, but I mean, by then I was a teenager, and unlike today's teenagers, I was trying to get as far away from the house as possible all the time.
True. As opposed to trying to stay in and never
as opposed to trying to stay inside all the time. So like Sundays would be like I'd be watching something that was awesome on TV, and then my dad would come and change the channel. Like he overruled. I mean, shit, it was his TV, but he would turn golf on.
Yeah.
And you had no negotiating power, right?
There's one TV in the house, by the way, people.
Right? Yeah, there's
no
one
iPads,
TV in the house.
Watch it on wherever, you know what I mean?
And so he'd turn on fucking golf, which is the most boring thing in the world. Then he'd fall asleep, and then I
seething with anger in the corner, like God damn it,
right? Yeah. And then I'd stake out the living room to make sure he was good and well, like under. And then I'd change the channel, and instantly he'd wake back up.
It's like, hey, trying to sleep to golf over here.
Yeah, right. Fuck. Yeah. So, I'm never gonna, like, me and golf, just, it didn't work out early.
It was them, not you.
Yes, it was them, not me. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that brings us to the Super Bowl halftime show, though. And this is something it's got the highest rated television event in all the year, for sure. Every year it is. It's got like over 100 million, if not more, the people watching it. That's why they charge $8 million for a 30-second ad, that kind of thing. And I think like it's just weird when you realize that like you don't get what is like the popular thing anymore. Like it's going to happen to you, by the way. I don't care how young you are listening to this. You're thinking, these old bastards, it's hilarious. It's going to happen to you too. At some point, culture, probably if you're 20, you got 10 more years if you're lucky before culture leaves you behind.
Yeah, and I think anyone who's listening to our podcast is in the same boat with us.
We definitely have younger people listening to this for sure. I know.
All right,
but that being said,
hi young people.
But they're thinking,
get a job.
This never going to happen to me, man. I'm right there with the culture. Well, at one point, Ryan and I were right there with the culture too.
Right.
You know, and that happens to everybody. The culture just doesn't give a crap about you. In fact, it's not even really culture. It's advertisers. Advertisers care about the 18 to 35 demo.
You're just not going to like the product on offer at some point.
Because you know what you like. I think the reason they stop caring about you after like age 30 is because by then you already have your own opinions. You know, I like this, I don't like that. You know, when you're under that, you can be talked into something like, hey, maybe Kendrick Lamar is really great.
You got to figure. It's like, and see, I can't judge Kendrick Lamar because I really don't know his catalog. I mean, he, from what I've gleaned about the rap beef with him and Drake, it's something like, well, okay, and then Drake has
I just don't care. I mean, the music sucks, so who cares? You know
okay,
what I mean?
so to oversimplify it, Kendrick Lamar is like the intellectual representing the culture like in a positive way, and Drake is rapping about like money and chicks and cars. And so
it's like Motley Crue versus Nirvana.
Wait, no, because Motley Crue was still good at music.
Yeah, but neither of them are good at music, so it really is a moot point.
Well, Motley Crue, okay, Mick
No, I'm talking about Drake and I like Motley Crue.
Right, yeah.
Drake
so
and Kendrick Lamar. So it's not like one's good and one, but they both are terrible. So
what
who cares?
would be a good analogy? So like, so it would be like, it would be like prime, like real Metallica, like shitting on Van Halen for like writing songs about like bottoms up and having fun and shit like that, right? Early Van Halen, it would be like if early Metallica was like talking shit about early Van Halen.
Yeah, but the problem with that analogy is both those bands are incredibly talented.
Well, I mean, I've got to find
like,
a metaphor.
We're really, that's really more like, is the famous star as good as the McDouble or something? It's like the two nonsense bullshit things. You know what I mean? They're both shitty in their own right. There's different flavors of shitty. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the analogy as I see it. You know what I mean? So who cares? The answer is who gives a shit? So go learn to play an instrument and actually write some songs worth of shit. You know what I mean?
Constipated corn shit versus like runny diarrhea shit, right? Battle of the shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably an even more eloquent analogy. Ryan.
So
Thank you so much for bringing some class and sophistication.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand the beef in Mr. Hanky
I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's the most interesting thing, then your music's really terrible. That's the way I look at it. Your music should be all that matters. You know what I mean? And but this is something we talk about in this podcast so many times. Is that music isn't the product. It's not about his music that people like Kendrick Lamar. They like Kendrick Lamar because of whatever they ascribe to being, what he is, what he represents. It's not about his music. Music's not even a thought. And that's the thing that I find so fucking terrible. That the music should be the only thing that matters. Is your music good or not? You know what I mean? I don't give a shit about your cool whatever it is you stand for. I don't care. Any of that stuff.
Again, Lamar's supposed to be the intellectual, so he might. Like, I'm trying to be like generous here.
You are. You're being very generous.
But I'm sure Kendrick Lamar is a fine wordsmith.
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know about Drake, but.
Look, if it's really popular, you can pretty much take it to the bank that it's terrible.
Right. Well,
it's like,
the lyrics are like my least. Like, that's the least important part of a song.
Exactly my point. Right? There's nothing. It's only lyrics, and so who gives a shit? You know what I mean? There's no music there. You know what I mean?
Well, so you got to figure. I mean, and there's probably a ton of backing tracks, right?
Oh yeah, there's no instruments anywhere. It's actually just. So it's not like a band playing and then he's rapping in front of the band. That raises some machine, which has some value. You know what I mean?
So it raises your profit margin and it eliminates risk.
Yeah.
Well,
there's not really any profit in the music, no matter what, even for those guys.
Right.
But it's really just a business card for whatever their other business ventures are.
So props to Rihanna for at least bringing Nuno Betancourt up on stage
unplugged.
Yeah, because I'll bet there was an article on like Yahoo News about like people wonder who's that guitar player with Rihanna, and then maybe one person looked up Nuno Betancourt and discovered Extreme. Maybe you won because of Rihanna. So
but if they actually
her.
had Extreme play, then they could just listen to Extreme.
Oh, fuck, that's so great.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
okay, so here's a good mental exercise. Like, what non-shitty rock band could actually play the Super Bowl halftime
Motley
show?
Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, AC/DC. I would say what's left of the Who, the Stones. I would think Rage Against the Machine could play. I would say, well, not anymore.
Rage Against the Machine at like the biggest like capitalist corporatist event in all of American culture.
Do you think that they would turn it down if they were offered it?
No, I don't think they would, but I don't think they'd be offered it because that's not what the Super Bowl is.
Well,
the Super
people
Bowl,
are not that sophisticated, right? People just want to like, oh yeah, I remember Rage Against the Machine. That was like the 90s, dude. That's what
right. The Super Bowl is all about big dumb F-150 America. That's what the Super Bowl is.
But those are all bands that could easily play. Poison, Def Leppard, they could all play the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Def Leppard would be cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could do it too, and they still bring it too. And so, I mean,
and enough
they're
crossover.
They're still big enough that people know who that is. You know what I mean? That's a legendary band.
Right.
So,
right.
But all those bands I just mentioned, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Motley Crue.
Well, Metallica. We wouldn't get Metallica.
You know what I'm saying, though. Those bands are all big enough with enough name recognition that they could all play there, and people would be into it. You know what I mean?
But can you imagine Kirk Hammett like flubbing the solo at the Super Bowl halftime show?
I would expect it.
right.
So it's like, of course he would. That's what Kirk Hammett does.
Yes.
But
you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Slayer at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that would be fucking awesome.
That would never happen. Number one, they were never big enough mainstream wise. They were never a big enough band. Like they never had a mainstream hit song.
Well, but I mean, they're in the broader public consciousness, though.
They are mainly because of their imagery.
Right.
So but that being said, though, they've never had a hit song. And
that'd be so cool. Like Slayer shows a bunch of pentagrams on stage and inverted crosses.
It would be cool.
And blood.
But you're describing all the reasons that would never happen.
Fuck, that would be awesome. I wish I lived in that dimension.
Yeah, but you're describing all the reasons why that could never happen.
So
but those are all bands that could play.
Yeah,
I think would play just as well as Kendrick Lamar plays. You know what I mean? If they had like those bands, that it would be big.
Of course, dude, King Diamond at the Super Bowl would be the best.
Yes, because he's so mainstream. He's just like
can you imagine
every mom in the suburbs is always humming along to like Abigail.
Can you imagine like Welcome Home starting and with the budget? Imagine if King Diamond had that budget for just one Super Bowl halftime show.
It would be awesome. I'm not.
Who do I need to talk to? How do I befriend Elon? He could make it happen.
So while we're living in Fantasyland, can we just go ahead and like bring Eddie Van Halen back to life and have the original Van Halen play?
Okay, what if it were like Alex, Dave, and they brought back Michael Anthony, and they played with a hologram of Eddie?
I would be totally down for that. But I'd rather just, if we're living in Fantasyland, I'd rather go to another dimension and bring like 1984 Van Halen to now, have them perform, and then send them back. You know what I mean? That would be the way to do it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think what it comes down to though is that's not music that the youth, and that's really all that cares. All the advertisers, everyone who's putting the billions of dollars into the Super Bowl in advertising dollars is caring about that 18 to 30 demographic. That's what they care about. So everything that would appeal to someone older than that is just wasted money.
Yeah,
which is why it was funny. Actually, I noticed that one of the big Super Bowl ads was starring Harrison Ford for Jeep. And what's interesting is that was not something that was in any way like aimed at like the youth. It was very much like, the secret of life is there's no what do you call it? There's no guidebook or whatever. It's like, and he's just kind of walking around talking about philosophy.
And so if you want to get a car that was built as if no one had a guidebook, buy a Chrysler.
But it was like very much like I've been through a lot of things kind of thing. It was like that kind of like, it was like that. I'm still here. I still enjoy my work. I still love my family and stuff like, all right, buy Jeep. And it was like this weird like pep talk from Harrison Ford, like about his world weary life. And like, okay, I'm sure that really appeals to the 18-year-olds out there. Like, yeah.
Where's the Buick ad with like
by the way, I love Harrison Ford, and he's awesome. But that being said, he's 80, and there's no 18-year-olds like, I'm gonna be like that old man selling me the Jeep.
Where's the Buick ad with like Clint Eastwood on a respirator that just goes?
I was Dirty Harry once. No, so I mean they can't be that beholden to the 18. They put the Harrison Ford ad on. It's like
and I mean like teenagers and early 20-somethings can't afford cars.
That's true. That's by Uber. Right. But anyway, I look at that and I just think like it's so gross that it's only aimed at the youngest of the young people who don't really have any opinions of their own. They're just wherever they're led is where they go. And that brings us to the next thing I want to talk about, which is the Grammys, which also just happened very recently. And,
the moon over my Grammys.
Oh my God. The fact that like Kendrick Lamar won Song of the Year, you know what I mean? That's for Not Like Us. That was the thing. And then Beyonce Album of the Year for her country album.
Know what? Good for Beyonce though, because I know that there's a certain cohort of country fans that are all upset at Beyonce.
Yeah, but her music's terrible. I don't care about their fans.
So is New Country.
Well, I just think
New Country's terrible. She was making,
sure, but that doesn't give her like a terrible album should not win Album of the Year.
Okay, cheers to Beyonce.
There were actually legitimately good albums that were put out this year. You know, Dream Theater's dropped a great album. That's really good. You know, like that could win Album of the Year. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of other albums that could be winning Album of the Year that were actually not terrible. You know, like why is it because she's famous, so she's going to win it? I mean, that's
cheers to Beyonce for like putting a thumb in the eye of. Man, I'm just
putting those in different boxes. That's
of the New Country crowd.
That is a service to humanity.
And by the way, my criticism is not pointed towards the Old Country crowd. This is the New Country crowd, the Jason Aldean and Nate Smith fans out there.
I still don't know who that is, and I'm still grateful.
All I have to say to you, Jason Aldean and Nate Smith fans, is Beyonce won your award.
You know what they say to that, Ryan? You know what they say to that?
What? I wish
what are you talking about? What are we talking about over here? I don't know what's happening.
If it were,
that's what they're saying. That's their pithy retort to that.
Did they announce? Wait, was it Friday that they announced the winners, or when was the Grammys?
It was I think last weekend.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say that would make for the best Schadenfreude.
I miss Schadenfreude. We got to bring Schadenfreude back.
I miss Schadenfreude. Yeah. That's like my favorite self-created holiday.
So, but that being said, it was just a horror show of like the worst of the worst, like the entirety of the whole thing. And it's like,
Gojira.
But Gojira won Best Metal Performance. But here's the irony, the most bitter irony. By the way, Priest and Metallica were also nominated.
Well, Priest and Metallica.
But it wasn't even televised. To find out that Gojira won, you'd have to go read the breakdown on some kind of news feed about like who won. That they would never know. Now I'm old enough to remember. Call me the crazy old man that I am. That a day when not only Metallica, literal Metallica, but Queensryche both played at the Grammys.
Yeah,
Queensryche and Metallica both performed at the Grammys. Did 2 songs each.
Man,
I'm old enough to remember that the Grammys used to be that. You know what I mean? Can you even people out there listening to this? Can you even imagine a world now where both Queensryche and Metallica would play at the Grammys? You know what I mean?
You know what sucks is that if they had televised the awards or had Gojira play at the Grammys, then more people would have discovered Gojira.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the casuals were like, "Wait, what's this band?"
But then, if metal got more popular, then like some record, whatever's left of the record companies would have to find other bands with 5 talented musicians in them, and then they'd have to pay 5 talented musicians instead of just one rapper.
Well, the difference is that there's not really a healthy ecosystem for music nowadays, and it's all personality driven. If you look at who the biggest stars are, it's all personality driven. Even a band like say Maroon 5 or something like that, right? It sort of got boiled down to where it's like really just the Adam Levine show. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So they didn't want to even have the band be the focus. Same with No Doubt. No Doubt went from being the band to being the Gwen Stefani backing band.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
So it all became personality driven at a certain point, because I think that was corresponded almost like you can see like a 1-to-1 between the record sales and dropping, and then they're trying to get the sales up. So they're trying to fight that by having this personality driven thing, and it became much more about what her Insta is, and what is she posting, and what kind of cool videos she have on YouTube and stuff like that. It's more about that. What kind of makeup line is she doing?
It's the Post Malone thing.
Yeah, it's personality rather than the music at all. So that's why they don't do that. It's not because they only pay 5 talented guys. It's just there's not a cost benefit ratio to them to put that in, unless there's some really compelling thing about like Joseph Duplantier, and they want to try and have him be whatever. They're going to try and push his personality, because all the biggest stars, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you name it, it's all personality driven. It's not about the music at all. You know what I mean?
Now that Taylor Swift has conquered pop music, I want to see Taylor Swift like go metal.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
That'd be so awesome.
Yeah, she'd get like Nuno and like maybe Vivian Campbell or something on guitar and freaking.
And I hope Vivian Campbell's okay. Did you hear he's having a bone marrow transplant or had one recently?
I mean, that's part of his ongoing. I mean, he's going to be living with cancer for as long as he's alive. That's just what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Sucks.
But that'd be freaking rad though, to have like some killer guitar players. know, in really writing killer music for her. You know, maybe she still have a say in like the songwriting because she's still a talented songwriter. But I mean, having them add riffs and stuff and solos, and I mean, that'd be cool. What people don't get about rock is that it's always going to be cool to have a great riff and to play a cool solo. That's always going to be cool.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, as long as you have a great song to go with it, people. That's the thing that's missing.
Agreed.
Animals as leaders, people of the world. Like, they're great players, animals as leaders. They really are fabulous musicians, but they don't know how to write a song. You know, or maybe they have no interest in writing a song. Maybe that's what it is. So
again, look to Japan.
Exactly. Yes, much like Godzilla waking up angrily from the bottom of the ocean. We should look to Japan.
Yeah. Look. I mean, like they're so like culturally dominant that a French band named themselves after a Japanese like icon.
That's true. They were
and won a Grammy.
They were almost going to call themselves Pas de Choux. And then they decided not to.
Hey, wait, what's pas de choux?
Pas de choux is shoe paste. It's a certain kind of, it's like a pastry.
Did you say shoe paste?
It's basically literally means shoe paste in French. It's actually a certain kind of.
Sounds delicious.
It is. It's a pastry. Like they make cream puffs and eclairs out of them.
Nice.
It's a twice cooked thing that you cook on the stovetop, making all-purpose flour, water, and butter. And then you bake it off, and it becomes like a pas de choux. It's like, you don't know what this is?
I honestly didn't know that. No.
Right, yeah, it's quite delicious.
I've had escargot on multiple occasions, and it is also delicious.
That also is French. Yeah.
And it's also a great butter vehicle.
Yeah, I mean,
as pas de choux also sounds.
But it's made from butter.
It's got the butter.
Basically, you start with the boiling water, butter, and flour. You make that into a paste, and then you make it. You cool it with eggs. You actually temper it with eggs, and then you put it into a piping bag. Let it cool, and then you pipe it out, and you bake it. Bakes up with hollow holes, and then you fill with pastry cream, and you make eclairs or cream puffs, things like that. So it's that's
nice.
Culinary hour here on
Dude,
that.
come for the rock guitar, stay for the sports talk and the culinary.
Exactly.
Now
and the old man yelling at clouds. That's the other big thing. Stay for that. You know what I mean?
Now speaking of turning things into paste,
okay,
I like on the positive side of the like pop personality thing. I did turn some Post Malones into paste last night with my shotgun in Hunt Showdown. Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. Please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Now back to the show.
Talking about virtual Post Malones. Post Malone is alive and well.
Yeah, so my murder video game Hunt Showdown that everyone should be playing just released an event with like all centered around Post Malone because I guess he plays the game. Right?
Doesn't it make you sad on some level to know?
It does.
You're like sitting there playing like somewhere now. Post Malone's playing this too.
The event. Well, no, that means because I might get in a match with him and murder him. Okay. That makes me happy. So
the possibility of murdering a virtual Post Malone makes you
right, or any player that selects the Post Malone character skin and I murder them. It's like I was so excited.
Trying to cleanse the earth, Brian.
Dude, I was so excited when I murdered my first Post Malone like last couple weeks ago.
That's gonna sound really bad out of context, and they clipped that out of context.
Yeah. We actually we clipped it. My buddy's watching it, and then I blasted him in the head with a shotgun, and you can hear me exclaiming, "I murdered Post Malone!" I was so happy. So sometimes there's a plus side. For people who play Call of Duty, there's a Nicki Minaj that you can murder.
Yeah, but irrelevance. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, yeah, but who?
Yeah, well, I mean, like if there was like a Randy Rhoads skin, like I wouldn't want to shoot.
No, I would just protect him at all costs. You know what I mean? That's
right, but they'd be on the opposing team, so I would just let him kill me as a sacrifice.
Exactly, for the god of Randy Rhoads. It's funny. Nicki Minaj is actually my first experience of like I don't understand what's happening anymore. I remember like it must have been like 10 or 12 years ago, whatever it was. I remember I was looking in the MSN kind of posts like what the news is, and I kept seeing like Nicki Minaj this, and I'm like, who's this person? So I don't even know. Like my students would talk about it, and I'm like going, who's this? And so I looked up on just YouTube video. What's the Nicki Minaj thing? And
she's the hip hop artist that stole Lil Kim's whole gimmick.
Yeah. Right? Well, I remember watching it, and that was the first time I remember seeing a music video. I'm making air quotes where I was like going, what is this? Like it was just literally like a drum beat and like literally sounded like a drunk girl just rambling. There's no rhythm, there's no rhyme, there's no anything. It was just sort of like a bunch of randomness.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? There's like not even any chord change. There's nothing. There's nothing. Like, I don't know what this is. This doesn't even qualify as music. I remember just thinking, what is this? And I just was stunned. Like, I can't believe how terrible this is. And people are like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, what? Have you just never heard music?
Probably not.
I mean, to think that is great. I mean, you have to have never been exposed to any other music in your life. I mean, I can't even call it music. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
I remember just thinking, like, what is happening? That was the first time I had that experience of, like, I just don't understand anything anymore. And I was like 12 years younger than I am now. I wasn't even I was like still like mid 30s, dude. So it's like one of those things, like, and it happens quick, people. I'm telling you. You think that you're too young for the culture to leave you behind, but it'll turn around and you won't understand anything anymore.
So we should really take a look at what the like chart numbers are for like streams. Like I don't know if. I mean, I know the Super Bowl thing, but I don't know if hip hop is like really king anymore.
It is.
I think new country is kind of like the disease sweeping the nation.
Well, classic rock is well represented too. You know what I mean? That's for sure. The problem is that new metal and new rock isn't. It's sort of really struggling to get a foothold. And I think partially there's two reasons for that. One, rock is not the music of the youth, as we discussed on this podcast before. And two, for whatever reason, older metal fans are really not interested in newer metal bands. I'm not sure why that is. Even if they're great. Well, it's really hard to get someone to give a new metal band a chance if they're not,
Well, the thing is that new metal is just like so like super testosterone, mega fucking.
Not
like,
all
heavy.
of it though. Even bands that are really great, like the Wings of Steel or Heat or bands like that, like that are really good.
Well, that's really really niche.
Classic metal.
That's made
stuff.
for guys like us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But even guys like us, like, dude, there's this new band. They're called Heat. They're really great. You should check them out. And then, not really looking for new bands. That's what they're up against.
Oh, that's weird. I'm not really looking for new bands. I'm never.
I've had it happen so many times. I've tried to turn people on to newer bands. Even Firewind. I remember like trying to turn people. Dude, you should check out Firewind. They're great.
Geez, awesome.
Yeah, and then like going, nah. Just not really looking for new bands.
Okay, that's
like,
weird. I don't know.
I've had that experience over and over and over and over again, trying to turn like the people who are classic metal fans into some of these newer bands that are kind of in that same world.
Huh.
It's really, really tough. I think they think that every new band is like Gojira or Opeth or something like that.
Which are great bands.
But not for the classic metal person. They're more like that sort of early 2000s prog, like mixed with hardcore sort of thing.
Do you think Steel Panther has any kind of negative effect?
No, Steel Panther is got a good fan base, man. They've actually
they do, but
partially why, because their songs are great.
Well, that's right, but it's also a satire.
Well, it is, but it isn't too. It's kind of a wink and a nod sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty like severe satire.
No, it's comedy. It's
hilarious.
For sure. But that being said, the song it's built within the structure of an awesome song.
Well,
too.
right, but don't they make it like so? A band like Wings of Steel, like you have to automatically assume they're also a joke.
No, I don't think that's true. I mean,
I think it has that effect.
I think Steel Panther is kind of a one-off sort of thing. I don't think there's a lot of other people. I don't. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I don't equate that at all. When I hear a band like Heat or like even Black Swan, or I'm hearing like
well, those bands are great.
I don't hear those bands and think like, wow, this is like Steel Panther or that kind of thing, because I just think they're just awesome in the style of 80s metal.
Okay, well, I'm not as familiar with Heat, but Black Swan, I mean, that's like those are legacy guys like Robin McCauley.
Yeah, but they're bringing up new music though. You know what I mean? That's in that same style. And then Heat's like that. Wings of Steel is like that. There's a few other bands that are kind of in that world. Even Hard Boy is kind of in that same sort of world. You know
right,
I mean?
And Hard Boy's a little. I mean, yeah, they have a sense of humor, and there's definitely some satire.
Well, so did all the 80s metal bands too. All those 80s metal bands had a good sense of humor. That wasn't like they were like. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's why grunge was seen as so different, because it was so earnest. Like, I suck and everything's terrible and I'm going to take heroin and kill myself. You know.
I mean, Skid Row.
These guys are so real. You know what I mean?
Skid Row was earnest. Guns N' Roses was earnest, but also fun.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a sense of humor that they kind of didn't take themselves all that seriously. Until Axl Rose decided he was a serious artist, and that was a problem. But
you know what? So, like bands like Skid Row and Guns N' Roses, like they weren't nihilistic. No, Nirvana's nihilistic.
Yeah, they were exactly. And I think, but that's for whatever reason, the music press decided that was real, and any band that had humor was not real.
Well, it was an overreact. It was an overcorrection or overreaction to the excess of the '80s bands.
It was a big mistake. It
was a horrible backlash.
Yeah. But I mean, the new bands though, they shouldn't have to carry that water. You know what I mean? That you should be able to be a great band if your songs are great and you rock and you shred. You should just have people give you a chance. So that's the thing that's tough. I wouldn't expect like an 18-year-old, unless they're already a metal fan, to be into those bands. But I would expect someone in their 40s to give a band that sounds like a classic metal band. Like, this band's kind of like Priest meets like Scorpions. Like, not really interested.
I wonder if there's, you know what? I wonder if there's, so a lot of, I don't know, maybe among like metal fans, I mean, among real country fans, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing, but there's probably a higher percentage of metal fans that are also, trying to be musicians. Like, I'll bet most metal fans own like one guitar
or play drums or something.
Right. Yeah. Or try to play drums or something.
God help them play bass. Yeah.
Right.
So my God. What that just says about you. Like, yeah, that band's awesome. I'm going to be the bass player. It's like, what are you doing?
Wah, wah.
What kind of self-hatred is going on here that led you to this place? You don't want to be that. Yeah. No, my God.
So I wonder, I wonder what percentage of the like 40-something rock fan doesn't want to embrace the young metal band because they themselves, as the older, they think like maybe it's sort of like I'm better at guitar than those kids,
but they're not.
But that's not true because the kids are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
Right, but maybe they're not willing to accept that there's a kid out there that got better at guitar than them.
Maybe. That's a very deep psychological reason as to why not. I just think this doesn't make me feel like when I was 15. I think that's what it comes down to.
Or what if it's, like I'm pinned down, I'm married and kids and full-time job and I'm all pinned down, I work in my cubicle and shit. And I just
wait, you shit in your cubicle?
Yeah, right. Like,
oh my God, like is that frowned upon?
Sometimes
does HR know about this?
Sometimes I just take a big fat Drake just right in my cubicle, and so maybe the 40-year-old music fan like kind of resents like the young metal band that's out there actually doing it.
Wow, I can't actually relate to that at all.
I personally can't, but I suggest
well, maybe. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen.
It could be.
Isn't your world made better by having newer bands that are also awesome?
Yes.
And I tell you what,
absolutely.
If you don't support those newer bands that are awesome, newer bands are going to start finding themselves in those cubicles with a sales job because they can't make a living playing music. You know what I mean? Which is already happening. Bands are dropping like flies left and right because you just can't make money. You just can't tour. You know what I mean? You can't do anything. You can't sell records and you can't sell merch if you can't tour, and you can't tour if you can't fill a room. So you basically have no option to make a living as a musician. As a rock musician, I'll put it that way. I can't speak to other genres, but I don't know. That's something that needs to happen. Like, there's got to be a sea change where everyone. And I think there's also this like gatekeeping that goes on in certain corners of the metal world too about what is true metal, what isn't, this kind of thing. And that
isn't that what Manowar used to actually like call their style of metal, true metal?
Yeah, it's all lame. At the end of the day, we all need to be like a big metal family.
I agree.
Everyone needs to like accept anybody's got heavy guitars and stuff. Okay, we're all in the club. We're all in this together. The idea that this is real metal and this isn't real metal and this is crap.
Right.
That's not helpful to
like within metal, calling like Lars and James. It's like Lars and James calling like Kip Winger a poser.
Yeah.
Well, Lars and James fucking pose too.
And they're not even close to as good of musicians as anybody in
No,
Winger.
I mean they
not even remotely. You know what I mean?
They're just posing as like regular guys in white puffy high tops.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They're posing as being just like you. That's their pose.
Well, I told you that Kip Winger's biggest crime is he was too good looking. That's the biggest crime. He's too good looking and too talented in everything he does. And he's like, they can't relate to this guy. He's like Mr. Perfect. There's no way.
I mean, if he had just passed on the Playgirl cover, that probably would have saved him a bit of mockery.
I was only vaguely aware that even happened. I think.
I was very aware.
No,
that
people. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Absolutely. I have issue. I mean,
I used to sign my buddies up for subscriptions so it would just show up in their mailbox.
I mean, it's because like in all the videos, they'd always have these like long shots of him staring into the camera and stuff. And
yeah, totally.
Because he was a great looking dude. That's like what the people know what they're doing.
Well, that was marketing.
Chicks are going to look at this guy and go, "Oh my God, he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," and that's why they did that. But I think that also worked against him because he was so beautiful and so like perfect and so great at singing and so great at everything. Like the average dude who's super insecure was like, "Fuck that guy."
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And they weren't going to even give music a chance, even if it was great. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it comes down to. That's what I mean. His own enemy is he was too good looking. He was too good looking of a dude and too talented.
good look. He was like
really, really good looking.
He was too Zoolander. Yeah.
He didn't do the blue steel enough to like win this guy's over.
He should have just like he should have been an early adopter of Magnum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't give a shit. I wanted to hear great music when I was a kid, so I didn't give a fuck about it.
Yeah, when I was a kid and got the first.
By the way, I still feel that way. Like the reason I hate Kendrick Lamar is because I want to hear great music.
You know what? Maybe as we unearthed earlier in the podcast, neither you or I had cable TV growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I didn't have easy access to MTV.
Yeah, whenever a video come on, like one video show a week or something.
For a half hour.
I would put the VHS tape and record that shit every single time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
live from the El Dorado Saloon on Channel 58.
Yeah,
that's right. And you'd get a local band or two also mixed in.
Absolutely.
But still, you'd get to see like maybe 4 music videos, and then it was over.
Yeah. But then next week there'd be a couple more, and you just every week would add to the video. Like, I remember having a whole video, like an hour-long video of all the different music videos over the course like a month or two. I recorded it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So the whole like first year or two that I was wearing out my Winger cassette, like I had no idea. I couldn't have picked Reb Beach out from a lineup. I had no idea.
The album covers are usually pictures.
But it was a cassette and it was small, and you still couldn't really tell. I had
Guitar World magazine. I would get Guitar World magazine every week or whatever, or every month whenever it came out. And I remember I knew all the guys. I remember Vito Bratta and Zach Wild when he first hit the scene.
Well, I eventually did, but you got to figure like
Richie
the first
Kotzen,
Winger album came out in like '88, so.
I used to ride my bike down to the Safeway.
I would have been 10.
I used to take my allowance and I would ride my bike down to the Safeway to buy a Guitar World magazine. Because I didn't realize you could do a subscription. I had no idea. Right. I'd ride my bike down and go, oh my god, I got the new issue of Guitar World, man. This one's got Reb on the cover. This is so cool. And he had like the lesson in there talking about the tapping and stuff. And
but still, we would have been oblivious to like Kip Winger's like pearly whites in the music video.
Well, I knew what he looked like.
Didn't have access.
That's a great looking dude. And I remember like reading in Metal Edge magazine too, and you can see pictures and stuff in there. And
I was a Rip magazine kid.
I like that one too.
Yeah, Rip was the best.
Lon B. Friend was the
Lon M. Friend.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
I like
not to be confused with Lon B. Friend.
I like B friend better. That's better. Lon B friend. He's going to be your friend.
He's like a good guy to befriend.
Yeah, exactly.
But Lon M. Friend.
I remember he was actually in one of the Extreme home videos. He actually interviewed the band. I remember that was kind of
cool.
For
those who don't know, Lon M. Friend was like the executive, the chief editor of Rip magazine. Yeah,
glossy photos through that magazine. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, there was like the the fanzine wars. I know we've talked about the guitar magazines.
Gary Miller was the one for Metal Edge. Remember that?
Right, and so Metal Edge had just like the black and white, like cheap wood pulp like pages. Rip would advertise like all glossy pages. Yeah, totally.
But that was not enough for me because I wasn't enough guitar focused. So that's why
I bought them all.
That's why I ended up moving to Guitar World. And Guitar World and Guitar Player were like my go. And then Guitar for the Practicing Musician, as we talked about, the greatest guitar magazine that's ever existed is Guitar for the Practicing Musician.
I remember definitely feeling like I had to get my like 14 and 15-year-old bedroom poster game on point.
Really?
Yeah, like there was a lot of thought that went into like, okay, how am I going to make this look like the bedroom of Skippy from Family Ties in Trick or Treat? Like, how do I make this the most metal bedroom possible?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I remember feeling with Guitar for the Practicing Musician that I remember I had to up my guitar game. I remember I read because they do the song breakdowns. Like in this section, they uses a blend of the minor pentatonic and mixed Lydian scale. I'm like, what the hell is mixed Lydian? I gotta learn this shit.
Right.
I remember thinking that like, I gotta learn. That was like a magazine that challenged you as a player.
That's a big complicated word with the letter X in it.
I know.
What the fuck?
I've never heard of this. What is going on? You know what I mean? And
it's not like 5 syllables.
Yeah. So that was a big thing though. Like when you get Guitar for the Practicing Musician, you would actually have questions asked like, what does that mean when it goes to Phrygian mode? What is that? I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? And you'd have to, you'd have to go and ask your teacher if they knew what that means. You know what I mean?
And then maybe your teacher knew.
And maybe they didn't.
Maybe they knew and didn't tell you.
Yeah, or maybe they just told you some other nonsense because they didn't actually know or whatever. But I mean, that was like an experience. Like those magazines would like push you to learn more and make you like, man, I feel so ignorant. I got to learn all this stuff. What is this? I don't even know what this is. That doesn't happen with a Kendrick Lamar song. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Drake's a douche. That's what I learned.
I would love to have someone on the podcast who could just explain rap to us, not culturally, but like if you're a kid who wants to be a rap star, like how do you learn how to rap if you don't know how to rap? How do you practice rapping?
Well, the thing you don't have to do is you don't have to learn any instrument of any kind.
Yes, and you don't have to know any scales or modes.
Yeah, or chords for that.
I wonder if you have to learn time signatures. Probably not.
It's all 4/4. Yeah. Would you imagine like a 7/8 rap song? Like no one would understand what's going on.
I hope someone could imagine that, because that would make it interesting. And I'm not even really an odd time signature guy. I generally like my shit in common time.
Well, that being said, though, rap is culturally relevant, and I'm not trashing it, but I need music in my music. I need to have musicians in harmony and melody, and I need to have improvisation. I need to have those things present in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And for me to be into a style of music, when there's none of that anywhere. And that includes like the Sabrina Carpenters and the pop princesses of the world too. I could put them in that same boat. Like I want to hear music in my music. You know what I mean?
I want more music in my music.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I just whatever the most popular stuff is now is stuff that it's non-musical. That's the thing that I'm baffled by. Like it's not music.
It's just social. It's everything is social media now.
Yeah, it is. It's all personality. It's not about the music at all. And I can't relate.
Well,
to it.
It's manufactured personality.
But it's what I mean.
Right.
It's not about their music. It's about like look at this cool thing that she's wearing, or look at this cool. Oh, Beyonce has a cowboy hat on. How cool is that?
Can you imagine like Yngwie at the Super Bowl? He's got a big enough personality to fill the entire.
You couldn't fit him in the stadium, dude.
Yeah, you couldn't fit him in the stadium. Yeah, totally.
To his credit, he's actually in shape now. So it's not
totally.
But that being said, he couldn't get his ego.
God, can you imagine how fucking great that would be? Just like,
Well, the greatest thing would be watching the baffled and not understanding faces of everyone in the stadium.
God, just like the chariot descending from the top of the stage.
Valhalla, you know what I mean?
And then like Rising Force with all like a ton of flash pots.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, that would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
But we can't have nice things because we live in the future.
Nobody besides like maybe us, like maybe a few hundred other people in that 70,000 seat stadium would understand what's happening. Have you ever like played AC/DC for somebody who's like a modern music fan? Like you try and play like Thunder.
Okay,
you know?
I did hear it. I guess like there's a commercial with Thunderstruck in it. So like,
all they play is that. No,
I told when it came on. Like I was in between lessons on Super Bowl Sunday. Which we should talk about the typical Super Bowl Sunday teaching.
Okay.
So so as soon as
I don't teach on Sundays, so I have no experience with this.
Dude, Sunday's a great day to teach. I love it. It is. Yeah, I've always had, like, for most of my, full-time teaching career.
The first time I started teaching was on a Sunday. I remember my first day ever teaching was on a Sunday, way back in, like, 96 when I first started teaching.
Yeah, Sundays are great.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, people. It's a weekend. It's a day.
It ends in Y. So
right.
I mean, it's
You can. I've always found it easy to book a whole entire day on Sunday for whatever reason. Because, I mean, people have the day off.
Saturdays too. I remember when I was younger. Saturdays was like a gangbusters day.
Yep. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday are gangbusters days for me. And after that, Wednesday is also really good for some reason. But anyway.
Monday for me. Monday's actually really good.
And Monday's been my day off for like almost 20 years.
Oh, nice. So you and I can't relate on that. When I first started teaching between then and now, and for the last like 10 years, I've had weekends off. But I remember I taught in every configuration of days I had like Monday, Tuesday was my days off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, but then Wednesday, Thursday was my days off.
Okay, but always together, yeah.
And then eventually I got to the point where I had Saturday, Sunday off, and I was like, we're staying right here. I got the weekend off like a real human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, the thing that's great about having Monday off is that like everyone else has to go work, so you kind of get to have the world to yourself. Yeah, so like I hate waiting in lines. I hate being stuck in traffic. I don't want to wait for you to figure out how to use the credit card machine at Walgreens.
Isn't it stunning how long it takes people to do anything?
Oh God!
It's like why are you still standing there? What is happening?
Because like, everyone's a fucking mess. Like no one has their shit together. I don't know.
Like I'll stand there, the self checkout line at like Target or something, and like I'll watch someone be there for like 10 minutes, and I'll be literally do my entire transaction in under 45 seconds. It's like
the worst is if I'm at the convenience store, like trying to buy gas or something, and the person in front of me is like just doing scratchers,
like we're standing in line right there.
Fuck, I hate that.
Or balancing their checkbook. Like this is 2025.
Well, I mean, no one.
What are you doing with the balance?
That would be a Walgreens.
I have seen that many times. People doing that shit. It's
like at a Walgreens where the clientele's geriatric. I can see that. That's part of the problem too. Like when grandma's trying to get all the coupons, paper coupons out of her and it's just a mess.
Like it's 1988 or something. Yeah,
right.
I get you. Yeah,
but
only the music was superior back then.
Yes,
I would say. Yeah.
Oh man, I just kind of like lost my train of thought. I started daydreaming about Yngwie at the Super Bowl. That would just be so it would be so cool.
Yeah, it would be so cool. I mean, I can't imagine that going over well because you're oh my god, we got to talk about something on a future podcast. I just saw a YouTube video that actually piqued my interest. That's kind of related to the fact that it's about personality now, about fake Instagram guitar players.
Oh, was it? It wasn't Post Malone trying to play Cliffs of Dover with terrible vibrato.
Why would do that?
That's out in the wild, folks.
We actually have talked about this song where the guy does the video game sounding stuff, right? Remember, we actually talked about this on this podcast before.
Oh, what, Max Ostro?
No,
was it the nerdy kid with the glasses? He can play.
No, it's this other dude. We actually made fun of it because it was sounding like a Doom level or something like that. What the guy was playing. Apparently, it was fake. So I didn't know that. So and apparently, there's a whole slew of like Instagram shredders who are like just faking the whole thing.
Yeah,
and that's like, okay, well, if you're gonna fake something, like at least make it worthwhile music. If you're gonna fake it, you know what I mean? That's
Well, good. I'm glad there's some backlash.
I guess so, but I mean, at the end of the day, they've already got the views. You know what I mean? And this is my general feel about all the Instagram shredder dudes out there. Is like I wish it was related to like good music,
like a band.
Yeah, like a song, rather than just a weird thing that you came up with. It's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool. I'm not trashing your playing.
Yeah.
It's just that it's like I wish it was part of a song that like mattered that people could like grab a hold of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I'll add to that like as an adjacent thing. Like I've had enough of here's my YouTube or TikTok video of me covering this song.
Yeah, it's true too. But that's less of an issue than like the dudes who come up with just the weird sounding shit that's like just crazy and obtuse, just to kind of show off how crazy they can play. But it's not in any related to music at all. I really blame Tim Henson for this kind of thing. Exactly. That kind of thing. By the way, it doesn't sound that different than what I just said. It really sounds like that.
Dude, you know what? Maybe we could
just clip that.
Yeah, maybe we could just acapella.
It really sounds like that. I mean, that's what it reminds me a lot of the jazz fusion thing. Like when
you're gonna get a
strike.
You're gonna get a copyright strike from Prolifia's management.
I see a lot of real common, like really threads with like bebop, jazz, and fusion in a lot of ways. In the sense that you get so into the weeds of being so technical for the sake of being technical that you lose sight of that you're trying to make music.
Man,
you know
fusion
what I mean?
Turned me on to so many other like styles and cultures and genres.
Yeah, but there's an ethic in that style of music, especially with we get way out there, where it's not really about the listener's experience or the song anymore. It's about what your crazy intellectual exercise you're doing is.
Well, I mean, that's why Diniola was so great. His music's also.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stuff that like when a lot of the fusion players who came out in like especially the early '90s was.
So, for example,
oh man, there's so many. I would throw out Frank and Bali into that to a degree. I would say Vital Information's an band like that. That's kind of just getting out there for the sake of getting out there. When you listen to Miles Davis go out or you listen to John Coltrane go out, it wasn't they were just trying to be weird. They just heard those notes in their head and they went after them. It was a part of the genuine thing,
which is cool.
But that became an affectation that people just started miming. You know what I mean? And then it wasn't really fusion unless you're going out. This kind of thing, and that's just bullshit. Just play the music you hear in your head, dude. That's what you should do. You know what I mean? And this kind of YouTube shredder making weird video game sounds thing, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that, where it's not even about a song or musical expression.
Right,
it's about
scoring note points.
Look at how cool I can play this cool thing that's really crazy and angular. That it'll take you 6 weeks to get this good because that kind of thing. It's not about making good music anymore. And I think that I really think that I love shredding. If anyone's listening to any of my albums, like for instance, Maximum Threshold that just came out, which is the Scott Allen Project.
Wait, what was the name of the album?
Maximum Threshold by Scott Allen Project.
Yes, excellent.
I like shredding. You can hear me shred all over the place on that album.
Or X-Age's debut album, yes.
Exactly. But I think you got to have it shredding within the context of a song. If you don't have it within the context of a song, then you got nothing. You know
shredding with melody. There was lots of shredding in the 80s, but there was still melody.
Or just make it a memorable part of a cool song. That's it can't just be a weird thing for having a weird thing. You know what I mean? That to me is just you've got nothing if you do that. You basically have accomplished nothing. If you have, that's my opinion. I'm an old man, so whatever. But it's that. I mean, all the great shredders that I grew up worshiping always played a ripping cool solo in the middle of a great song. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Listen to like John Sykes' solo on "Cry of Love."
Oh, for sure. Or "Still of the Night" for that matter. I mean,
totally.
Or "Give Me All Your Love" or
anything he ever played ever.
"Black-Hearted Woman," Jelly Roll, you name it. Any of those songs.
Dude, my students are like, so I've got a bunch of students. We're learning "Still of the Night" right now.
Nice.
Yeah, totally. And of course,
great fucking song.
So great.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Right. And so of course they would understand why I would teach them all the like heavy distorted parts.
Yep.
But then we get to the interlude and I teach them like the inverted arpeggios and stuff, right? and like they're shocked. Like there's this cool clean part. Like there's so much that they're learning from just this one song that has these different peaks and valleys and progression and dynamics and moods.
Well, most songs back then had that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, songwriting was at a premium back then. People loved great guitar playing because there was nothing but great guitar playing in the 70s and 80s. But that being said, they also really appreciated the craft of writing songs too. You know what I mean? And that's insane. You know, another one of my all-time favorite players is Dan Huff. From obviously prolific session musician as well as the leader of the band Giant. And I just recently saw a video when he was talking about playing some Michael Jackson stuff because he played on some of Michael Jackson's albums too.
Nice.
But if you knew this guy's ability level, it's just off the charts. He could shred your face off if he wanted to.
Right.
But watching what he chooses to play and how he uses the fast guitar parts is like a dynamic tool to kind of make excitement happen. And then it's you know, that's the way you use technique. You want to have all the technique in the world, but you have to deploy it wisely. It has to be something you're using in the service of something bigger than what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that a lot of the YouTube, I mean, that's not something you can do in like a 30-second YouTube video or Instagram clip or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of lost because of the information economy we're in. It's like the personality or the look at this crazy. It reminds me a lot of like a video watching some guy like step on a rake and it hits him in the balls kind of thing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like something that's going to make someone stop and watch that 20-second video or whatever. Oh my God, he hit his balls right here. Oh, it's like, it's literally as important.
Or if you're Louis Shortstud, like a garden spade.
How dare you besmirch the good name of Louis Shortstud?
We had to give Louis Shortstud a shout out.
He had so much to give. You know?
Well, he did.
He needed a ladder to give it, but he still found a way.
You know what? He gave so much with so little.
Yeah. Whoa! What are you guys talking about?
Right. So
no.
Here's to you, Louis.
I'm just saying, like, you know, back then, I just feel like we had it so good and we didn't even know it. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. I mean, it's like,
dude, you know, youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah,
that's the condition of humankind.
Well, the youth nowadays have got, it's almost a burden in a way, like how much information is so easily accessible and they have so much stuff just trying to pry their attention. You know what I mean?
Shit. Okay, here's an anecdote for you. I had a teenage student a couple of weeks ago. I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet. Asked me to teach them how to play Stairway to Heaven, right? And I said, sure. And I showed them the first part and everything.
Yep.
And they replied, yeah, you know, I also really liked it when the singer for this song did Dream On, too. That was a great song also.
Like, that's Aerosmith, dude.
And I was
it's
like,
a different band, not Led Zeppelin.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, you said it kinder than that, right?
No, I'm actually really good friends with this
smacked
student.
him with that. You
no, actually, you know what? I've got a good enough relationship with this student where I said something like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Like you have like, okay, so you're gonna go. When I was a kid, if I didn't know something, my parents sent me to the dictionary or an encyclopedia, and I had to look it up.
Yep.
But I was like,
but now you say go Google it, and then you come back and they're watching porn.
And so
like, God damn it! Did you even look that thing up? I told you.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you've got access to like all of mankind's accumulated knowledge in your phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And you think that Steven Tyler's saying
is Robert Plant?
Is Robert right? What?
I know.
Just like.
That's actually literally like a joke from a Spider-Man movie where they put on the AC/DC. He's like, "Oh, great! I love Led Zeppelin." That's exactly
what, really?
That's actually in Spider-Man. Was it the Far From Home?
Oh, we're all doomed.
He's suiting up and stuff, and they start playing like, you know, I got the music, and they're playing like Shoot the Thrill. He's like, "Oh, awesome! I love Led Zeppelin," and it was a joke in the movie because he's a kid.
Good for AC/DC. Good for Malcolm and I guess Brian Johnson and their
they don't need the help. Those guys are stadium band until they decide to stop. You know what I mean? They're just
fuck. Then you know what? Let's have one AC/DC halftime show.
That's one of the bands I mentioned. The AC/DC.
Yeah.
Everybody loves AC/DC. Everybody knows AC/DC. It's not like that'd be a big sell. You know.
Yeah.
I just think.
Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
how dare you? You
Yeah.
son of no.
Have you heard about the final Black Sabbath performance?
I have heard about this. Yes, we should probably. We'll also do a podcast on that. We'll sit down and talk about that. So that's I got
Ozzy in a wheelchair.
I got many thoughts on that. We'll talk about that.
Me too. Yeah.
That actually brings me to one of the reasons I think that doesn't happen for something like the Super Bowl, though, is I think that the executives at the networks, when the idea of seeing a bunch of 75-year-old dudes on stage playing rock and roll, they see that as like so antithetical to how they see themselves. They see themselves as cutting edge, and they see that as like old. That's
well,
like
I mean, look,
you know?
I'm not super excited about Ozzy. You know,
No, we'll deal with that on a
yeah,
put that in a separate bucket. But even like
stuff I'm not stoked
geriatric
about.
AC/DC was something that's not going to like the kids aren't going to be like, oh yeah, I totally relate to that 79-year-old guy out there playing the SG. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? We should look on the bright side. Yeah. At least it wasn't Nirvana reunion.
Thank God that can never happen. That's the good news. You know what I mean?
But they did that with a different vocalist.
I know,
in Los Angeles.
But so who cares? You know.
Well, but I mean, all those poor people, they wanted to contribute to charity.
I know.
And they had to listen.
They had to pay the price in the way.
Right, like they showed up, and then like they didn't even know it was going to happen. They didn't even know, Scott.
They feel violated, really.
Right, they didn't even see.
You violated my ears. You didn't even ask for permission.
Right, you know all those poor people couldn't have known what was about to happen, and then they were all trapped inside that music venue, and then
it's like in Shyamalan movie or something, you know?
Right? And then all of a sudden they had to listen to Nirvana songs.
I know.
It's just like, where's the United Nations?
I know.
Like,
exactly.
where's the
Black Ops people to kind of get those people out of there, man? Like one at a time.
Right? Like where are the Black Hawk helicopters? Oh well, the Black Hawk helicopters are crashing into airplanes elsewhere.
That's true. That's true. That's actually very sad. Actually,
no, it's all sad. Nirvana reunion, fires, airplane crashes. It's all going to hell, Scott.
Well, the good news is King Diamond's got the soundtrack for us, though. That's good. That's the one thing to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Hell
all
yeah.
Right, that's it for today. We're going to wrap that up on this amazing episode of the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. And also, please go to check out our website at xaegisband.com.
That's www.exaegisband.com.
Good at spelling. Good job.
Thanks.
There we find links to our social media. Please make sure to follow us on social media and tune in next time, and we'll take you on a little trip. We'll definitely discuss the Ozzy Osbourne and the wheelchair thing, which makes me just immensely sad. All right, we'll talk about that later. Look forward to that, guys.
Yeah,
you guys want to be immensely sad.
And watch out for random Nirvana reunions, everybody.
It can happen anywhere.
Stay safe out
It's
there.
like the Hard Eyes Killer.
Stay safe. It's a jungle out there.
Take these guys. See you next week.
Peace.